Hey, Shalom, Akim. I'm coming back again with the second installment of the account of Stephen. All right, I want to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Shemiah Washai, double honors to the elders of Great Millstone. Much love and respect to you brothers out there doing the work of sincerity and truth. Yahweh Shemiah Washai, Waharakak Wadash, Barakatam, Akim. All right, this is going to be the second installment to the account of Stephen. And I'm going to start at Acts 7, 1 through 19, and just start off where I left off in the prior chapter of Acts 6, and just continue to go through it. All right, this is Acts 7 and 1. Then said the high priest, "Are these things so?" And he said, "Men, brethren, and fathers, hearken. The God of glory appeared unto our father Abraham when he was in Mesopotamia before he dwelt in Haran, or Haran." Okay, and this is Stephen at the that was brought and apprehended by the councils, of the libertarians, all right, the Alexandrians. Okay, and they brought him, they rose up certain men to bear false witness on him, saying that he blasphemed against the Most High. Okay, and now he's at the defense of the gospel, or on himself, and he's going through history, okay, as we do. We when we go onto the highways and byways, we're at the defense of the gospel. We're defending Yahweh Shai, though we're presenting our bodies a living sacrifice, just like Stephen did, the way he's doing right now. He's defending the gospel, at the same time we're defending ourselves, but at the ultimate thing, we're defending Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai was murdered wrongfully. Okay, so we're standing at the defense of the gospel, and we go through history, we go through chronological order, from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and how it trickles down to the different chosen line, the 12 tribes. Okay, so basically that's what Stephen is doing right now before the council. Okay, and how he's making mention of Abraham when he was in Mesopotamia before he dwelt in Haran, because in Mesopotamia is whenever him and his father left the land of Ur, or the land of the Chaldeans, or ancient Babylon. Okay, him and his father Terah, they left, and then they went to a different land, which, like I said before, he dwelt in Haran. Haran is modern day Syria. Okay, up there north, up north, above Jerusalem, right below like Turkey and the Black Sea and the Caucasus Mountains. That's where that land is, where it says he dwelt before he dwelt in Haran. Okay, and it said, verse 3, "And he said unto him, Get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred, and come into the land which I shall show thee." See, this is where the Most High is commanding Abraham. "Then he came out of the land of the Chaldeans and dwelt in Haran, and from thence, when his father was dead, he removed him into this land wherein ye now dwelt. And he gave him none inheritance in it, no, not so much as to set his foot on. Yet he promised that he would give it to him for a possession, and to his seed after him, when as yet he had no child." Okay, so before Abraham even came into the promised land, it was already being promised that he was going to receive this land. When the Most High was making a covenant with him, having him go out to the land and look out as far as the east and far as the west, and as far as his eye could see, that would be his possession, and that his seed would be as the sand of the sea and as the stars of heaven, innumerable. Okay, and as yet before he had a child, because Abraham didn't have a child yet. He was given, Hagar was given to him to bear seed, which Ishmael was the elder, and the eldest of Abraham. But that was the seed of promise. The promise to the seed wasn't given to him. It was given to Isaac when Sarah was finally impregnated to conceive Isaac. Okay. So going back to verse 6, and Yahweh spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land, and that they should bring them into bondage and entreat them evil 400 years. And that's when Abraham received that vision that his people would go into the captivity for a period of 400 years under the Egyptians. All right, so that's what it's referring to, into a strange land, and the nation to whom they shall be in bondage will I judge, said Yahweh, and after that shall they come forth and serve me in this land, or in this place. So that's when he delivered his people, the Israelites, out from the land of Egypt through Moses. All right, and in verse 8, and he gave him the covenant of circumcision, and so Abraham begat Isaac and circumcised him the eighth day, and Isaac begat Jacob, and Jacob begat the 12 patriarchs. You see, so Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, like he said in verse 2, Stephen, he said, men, brethren, fathers, hearken, the glory of the God of glory appeared unto our father Abraham. So he was talking to his fellow kinsmen, the Israelites. All right, so he's letting them know that he's on that same page as them as far as knowing that who they worship. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai has only been dealing with the nation of Israel, starting with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the 12 sons, which are the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, so basically that's what he's doing. He's just backtracking. He's going through history, just like we do when we're on the highways and the byways, man. And that's basically like, what we're gonna have to go through when we're put up before the council and synagogues and in these courthouses or wherever we may be. We're gonna have to give a testimony of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, just like Stephen did. We got to remember the account of Stephen, which, like I said, when you go into the Greek, and his name means crowned, and that's what you want to receive. You want to receive that crown. Strive for the truth until death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. But even if you're a martyr, even if you die for this truth, you will be crowned. You will be in the chariot up in heaven, waiting for your fellow Akim that are still living. Okay, so it goes on to say in verse 9, and the patriarchs moved with envy and sold Joseph into Egypt, but Yahweh was with him. See, and he's going from the major accounts of what's happened throughout that time of that history, that process, and how they were gone into Egypt. They learned the traditions and customs of the Egyptians. They were delivered out of Egypt. You know what I'm saying? And then they went to the wilderness for 40 years. They were dying off. Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai was killing off those rebels, the insubordinates. And finally, through Joshua, he led them into the land of Canaan, to the promised land flowing with milk and honey. Okay? And that's how they ended up to this very day. In that day and the time with Stephen was given this witness, his testimony. All right, so it said, and the patriarchs moved with envy, sold Joseph into Egypt, but Yahweh was with him. All right, so his Joseph's brothers, a few of his brothers envied him and delivered him out of all his afflictions, or the Most High, and delivered him out of all his afflictions, and gave him favor and wisdom in the sight of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And he made him governor over Egypt and all his house. Now there came a dearth over all the land of Egypt and Canaan. See, right here it says Canaan, but it's Canaan, and great affliction. And our fathers found no sustenance. But when Jacob heard that there was corn in Egypt, he sent out all our fathers first. And at the second time Joseph was made known to his brethren, and Joseph's kindred was made known unto Pharaoh. See, so basically he's just going through this history. He's going through history, showing, how they were led up to this very point where they're at right now, and how those same individuals that were rebellious and that were moved with envy and, that had a strife in their heart, were there to that same very that very same time, man. And they were doing it to the men of the Lord, bringing them to the council. They ultimately did it to Yahushua, the Messiah, right? The Hamashiach. So basically, he's going into this and showing them. And says, verse 14, then sent Joseph and called his father Jacob to him and all his kindred, 75 souls. So it was 75 souls that came back with Jacob. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, through that history, when it said that he revealed himself the second time, right here in 13, he kept Benjamin with him, the youngest brother. Okay, and they went back and fetched their father, and that's how it led them to this point of coming back into to Egypt. So it was all set up, even though they did it with envy and things of that nature. The Most High set it up to where it was going to fall to their favor. Them getting out of that famine and going into the land of Egypt. Because when you go into the history of Joseph, in the book of Genesis, you read that he was receiving dreams and visions, that he would, his brothers and that would be bowing down to him. So he knew through a certain vision. He didn't know exactly how it was going to be until it started happening. Then he understood. And that's in his father and his mother, his brothers. They bowed down to him. They showed him. They obeyed. They reverenced him, as their savior. So he was already receiving visions and dreams, but it was all through the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai that it happened this way. So at the end of the day, they were delivered, by Joseph. Or ultimately, Yahweh Shema Shai used Joseph, used them to be the way they were, to bring them over here to the land of Egypt. And it said, so Jacob went down into Egypt and died, he and our fathers, and were carried over into Shechem, and laid in the sepulchre that Abraham bought for a sum of money of the sons of Emor, the father of Shechem. But when the time of the promise drew nigh, which Yahweh had sworn to Abraham, the people grew and multiplied in Egypt. Okay, so you find that in the book of Exodus chapter 1, verse 18, till another king arose, which knew not Joseph, the same dwelt subtly with our kindred. The same dealt subtly with our kindred, and evil entreated our fathers, so that they cast out their young children to the end that they might not live. So you get that account in Exodus chapter 1. So he's going through this process, this chronological order of how Yahweh Shema Shai has always been dealing with his people. All right, and how it started with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The covenant was made with them, and how they were brought into to Egypt, by their brother Joseph. And after a period of time, that agreement that was made between Pharaoh and Joseph was no longer effective, because the new Pharaoh had rose and didn't regard any of that. They saw that the children of Israel were growing innumerable, and that there were strong people, so they were going to destroy them. They started killing off, every first, all the newborns, the newborn male. All right, so that's what that's talking about. So I'm gonna go from there to the book of Hebrews chapter 11, and I'm going to start at verse 8. It says, by faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, not knowing whither he went. So he moved with faith. And that's going back to the account that Stephen was given unto the council, or the high priest and those other men that were there, that were present, and bearing false witness on him. So he is just verifying it here in Hebrews 11 and 8, that Abraham received an inheritance by Yahweh Shema Shai and obeyed. He went out, not knowing where he went. So he moved with faith, So Stephen is having faith in the account of that history, and proving to these men that were moved with envy, just like his brothers moved with envy towards Joseph. They're doing the same thing all over again, not knowing, that they have that evil, envious, wicked spirit on them. So Stephen was standing up for the truth at the defense of the gospel. All right, in verse 9 it says, by faith he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. See? For he looked for a city which had foundations, whose builder and maker is God. All right, verse 11. Well, you know what? Let me go from there. I'll read verse 11. Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. Therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky in the multitude, and as the sand which is by the sea shore innumerable. So who was that seed that Sarah received? Was Isaac. Okay, so the promises were already being set in place, with Abraham and Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Okay, so I'm just feeding through the lines. You can read the whole account in the book of Genesis, but I'm just going through here in Hebrews 11 and feeding through the lines that I was reading there in Acts chapter 7. All right. It says in verse 13, these all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth. You see? So they were pilgrims, they were strangers. And that's another thing that proves that the Israelites, when you read like strangers or, sojourners or, foreigners or Gentiles in the Bible, it's referring to Hebrew Israelites that had a Gentile state of mind. Okay. It says, verse 14, for they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country, and truly if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have an opportunity to have returned. See, but they had faith that they were going to receive something better and greater, and have a portion of the land of their own, versus leaving with a bunch of heathens and things of that nature. Verse 16, but now they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly, wherefore Yahweh was not ashamed to be called their God, for he had prepared for them a city. Okay, which in that time it was the land of Canaan. Okay, but it was greater than that. We're going to receive the whole kingdom, the whole earth, the whole universe. Okay. Verse 17, by faith Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac. Meaning when Abraham was tested, he was commanded to sacrifice his son. Offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son, which is a similitude of Yahweh Shem, or a similitude of Yahweh Shai. Verse 18, of whom it was said that in Isaac shall thy seed be called, accounting that God was able to raise him up even from the dead, from whence also he received him in a figure. Verse 20, by faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. So it's going through that, which it didn't mention Isaac too much. It was just said that about the seed. So by faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau, because Isaac and Rebekah had twins, Jacob and Esau. So you read that account in the book of Genesis as well. In verse 21, by faith Jacob, when he was dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph, and worshipped, leaning upon the top of his staff. And who were the sons of Joseph? The two sons of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay, right before he was dying, he was already getting old. Right? It says, by faith Jacob, when he was dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph, and worshipped, leaning upon the top of his staff. Verse 22, by faith Joseph, when he died, made mention of the parting of the children of Israel, and gave commandment concerning his bones. Okay, so Joseph made a commandment when they were leaving, when they left the land of Egypt, the house of bondage, when they were delivered, to take his bones with them. Okay. Verse 23. By faith Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents, because they saw he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandment. Okay, so again, it's getting deeper, but like I said, you get the whole account when you go into the book of Genesis, Exodus, read about the deliverance, you read about the miracles that Yahweh was doing through Moses and Aaron. Okay. And you know what, let me go here real quick. Genesis, see. Yeah, this is Genesis 50 and 24. And Joseph said unto his brethren, I die, and God will surely visit you, and bring you out of this land unto the land which he sware to Abraham, to Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, because they were in the land of Egypt, right? So they're going to be brought back into the land of Canaan. Okay, so that's what Joseph was prophesying unto them. Verse 25. And Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and ye shall carry up my bones from hence. So Joseph died, being 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin in Egypt. You see, so I just wanted to bring that out real quick, for the simple fact that, let me see, where was I? Joseph, right there in verse 22, just when he died, made mention of the departing of the children of Israel, and gave commandment of concerning his bones. So basically what I'm saying is that everything that's being noted, that's written in the scriptures, with everything that Joseph was saying in the book of Acts chapter 7, goes back back into history, and into the book of Genesis and Exodus. Okay, and that's where you find the accounts, and you go deeper into what went down. Okay, so I'm just going through here in Hebrews just to give you a little bit more of understanding what's been going on. Okay, and here in verse 23, by faith Moses, when he was born, was hid 3 months of his parents, because they saw he was a proper child, and they were not afraid of the king's commandment, because the king's commandment was to kill every newborn child from the year, or a newborn up to 2 years. But they hid Moses, and Moses was the one that was going to be their deliverer. All right. But verse 24, by faith Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. So when Moses was coming to an understanding of mind, he was watching and paying attention to everything that was going on, and he refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. Verse 25, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of the Most High than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season, esteeming the reproach of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach greater riches than the treasures in Egypt, for he had respect unto the recompense of the reward. You see, so Moses did exactly what we're commanded to do. We separate ourselves from the world. We follow after the ways of Yahweh Shai, and because we know that the riches are far more greater with Yahweh Shai than this world has to offer. Verse 27, by faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured as seeing him who was invisible. Through faith he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of blood, lest he that destroyed the firstborn should touch them. See, so it's just going up to the very point to where Moses was used to deliver Israel out of Egypt. Verse 29, by faith they passed through the Red Sea as by dry land, which the Egyptians, assaying to do, were drowned. That's where the miracles Yahweh Shai was making. He split the Red Sea, and the children of Israel walked through, and then the Egyptians followed through after them to pursue them, and they were destroyed by the water and drowned. All right. And it says, verse 30, by faith the walls of Jericho fell down after they were compassed about 7 days. By faith the harlot Rahab perish not with them that believe not, when she had received the spies with peace. And that's talking about through Joshua. All right, when Joshua, they went to the land of Canaan, Jericho, and they destroyed all those Hamites in there. All right, so that was just real quick. And I'm gonna end it with this. Romans 15:4 says, for whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So everything was written for our learning. And Stephen was a learned man. He was full of the Holy Spirit. He was full of power. Okay, and he was showing them and proving them that he was on their level. But he had faith in Yahweh Shai, who they crucified. And that's the testimony of Yahweh Shai, that us brothers out here in the highways and the byways in the world of 2018 here in the land of Babylon, all right, known as America, that's what we're going to do. We're going to give a testimony of Yahweh Shai, all right? Because Esau, as a dragon, he's wroth with the woman that had the testimony of Yahweh Shai and who obey the commandments, pursuant to the in the book of Revelations. Okay. Real quick, you know what? There's this other one. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see. It's in the book of John. And the reason I want to bring it out is because when Stephen, which I'm going to go into that later on in a different segment, they weren't able to receive it, And this is what I want to bring out here. Let me see. It might be in chapter 8. Let's see. Brothers, just bear with me, man, because everybody, they want to say that they're of Abraham, this, that, and the third, but they can't receive Yahweh Shai. Let me see. I'm sure you brothers know what I'm talking about. How it's basically Yahweh Shai saying, you have the writings of Abraham, and he written of me, but you don't believe in me. How you gonna believe? How do you believe in Abraham but you don't believe in me, basically? Or vice versa. See, Slakia, brothers. Damn, man, I need to find where it's at because it's gonna be bothering me. Let me see. You know what? I think it might be this one. Let me see. This is John 8:52. Then said the Jews unto him, now we know that thou hast a devil. Abraham is dead, and the prophets, and thou sayest, if a man keep my sayings, he shall never taste of death. Art thou greater than our father Abraham, which is dead, and the prophets are dead? Whom makest thou thyself? Yahweh Shai answered, if I honor myself, my honor is nothing. It is my Father that honoreth me, of whom you say that he is your God. Yet ye have not known him, but I know him, and if I should say I know him not, I shall be a liar like unto you. But I know him and keep his sayings. Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad. Then said the Jews unto him, thou art not yet 50 years old, and hast thou seen Abraham? Yahweh said unto him, verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. No, that's not it right there. But Abraham knew of Yahushua. Man, where is it, man? You know what? Let me bring this one out real quick then. This is in the book of Luke, chapter 24, verse 44. And he said unto them, These are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled, which were written in the law of Moses, and in the prophets, and in the Psalms concerning me. Then opened he their understanding, that they might understand the scriptures. You see, so back in the Old Testament, with Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy is talks about Yahushua. So he has to open up your mindset for you to receive it. Just like those Pharisees, the high priests, those Alexandrians, the libertines, the libertines, they couldn't receive it. Why? Because the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua wasn't dealing with them. They didn't have the understanding of it. So that's basically, I wanted to bring that out. The one in John, man, I'm gonna have to find it. I'll probably put it up on the the comment board. But basically that's it, man. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to just continue on that segment, of the account of Stephen that he went through as bearing a testimony, as being a martyr for Yahweh Shem Yahushua's sake. And we had to remember that account. How he stood in great boldness. He was full of the Holy Spirit and power, and he did exactly what it was right with him. He was on trial, man. But even though they executed him, that's going to be a greater, a heavier and weightier judgment on those individuals. So either way, he won. He's crowned as his name. That's what his name means, the Omen Nomen. So I hope it was edifying, brothers. Till next time, I'll bring the next segment out on the regard of the account of Stephen. And like I said, you can go into the book of Genesis, Exodus, and get more in depth and in more detail, in the story. Of course, you can go through other books and get a little bit more details of went on, between Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, the 12 sons, Joseph, Abraham, Joshua, So, hey, man, hope